Good morning, 813. Corey May here with my Silk Road simulation. Just want to say there's going to be two videos. In this first one, I'm just going to take you to two places and describe how the simulation would work. In the second one, I'll go to all the places that I created so you can see it in a little bit more detail. So let's get started. The first city here is Antioch. In the directions, which I'll show you here in a little bit. The students would create a city that would have the cultural characteristics of the culture that controlled the city that they're given. So at the time, Antioch was controlled by Rome, and as you can see on this welcome sign, it was owned by the Romans. And then in the simulation, I gave each city has a good that they're known for, and then a good that they're in need of, such as silk, and that's what you're going to trade. But let's go to the directions here. Place an information tablet here. The directions in the simulation is together students would have to collaborate to build a city that shared the characteristics of their culture. But also they would have to place information panels around their city, and they have a choice to where to put it, that would describe various aspects of their culture, particularly with trade, because this is when you would do this unit, it would be over trade. Then they would have to collaboratively work with other groups to trade and try to get as much of their needed good as possible. They can only trade inside of cities, not outside of them. But there's a catch. Because of the limitations of the time period and travel, they can only trade with one town over. So for Antioch, you can only trade with Merv in this case. Now, there's a competitive aspect to this where you can get attacked outside of the city, so you have to be able to protect your caravans and work together to protect those. But there's a goal if you wanted to make the simulation competitive. The first group to fill up their good in need area, so silk in this case, would win. But you don't have to do that. And then there's a summative aspect to the simulation at the end, because presumably you do this at the end of a unit after the simulation's over. They would write a short paper, everybody would, describing trade along the Silk Road. Let's look at the city here. This is the area in need that you would need to fill up if you were to make it competitive. And then I put various other goods around here. So like gold can be something that you can barter and trade with. And then I placed an armory to kind of give you a place for students to pick up weapons so that they could protect themselves in this simulation. And this is kind of what every city looks like. They have places for various spots. You can put as many as you want, or as little as you want. And make the game, like I said, competitive or not. Now, give me a second. We're going to go over to the next part I wanted to show you. All right, here is the second area. If you weren't a regular civilization, you could give, or you would be a raider group. If you wanted to, you could make it a specific culture. You don't have to. But this is to kind of simulate the fact that trade routes could get attacked, and they're a lot simpler in their directions. They only have to build an area that stores their weapons and stores the goods they steal. They don't start out with any goods. But they're important to the game because they provide that competitive edge a little bit, but also because they're responsible for building geographic features as everybody else is building their cities, such as like mountains, hills, desert areas, to kind of make it have a little bit more accurate feel from a geography standpoint. Now they can attack any caravan, but they cannot attack in a city. They have to attack outside, so that's kind of a limitation on them. And they want as many goods as possible. They can take anything. If you wanted to change the game to where they could sell things off for ransom, you could do that. And again, if that group's a raider, they still have to write the paper at the end. And let me show you kind of what it would look like. Very simple, just kind of like a cave and a storage area. But again, they would build geographic features. In terms of this assessment, for assessment purposes, I think it would work really well. Kind of give the kids a fun edge to kind of see how things were traded. I'm looking at Chang'an from the Han Dynasty would be the other end of the Silk Road here for this. But it just kind of, the simulation would work very well to kind of show students how things were traded or what goods each city had. Anyways, thanks for listening, And I hope you guys like this video and watch my other one. Goodbye.